Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here to break down the NBA slate for July 31st on Friday. This is a big NBA slate, the real first, full day of games since the NBA is restarted in the bubble. Last night we had a two-game slate with the LA Clippers, LA Lakers, and the Jazz Pelicans. Both were some good games to watch, except that I feel like that Lakers game went on for like 4 hours. Oh my goodness, what a long game. But both good finishes to those games. Maybe not the best night of DFS in the world, but that's why I'm playing late right now, because we really just don't know what's going on. We don't know rotations. We don't know minutes. We don't know what's going to happen. So I'm going to continue to play light today. But this is a big day. I mean, it's like if you play Christmas Day NBA, that's basically what all these slates are going to be. It's a sweat all day. It's not just you lock lineups in and then you set them and forget them. Like, no, you got to pay attention to news that comes out all day. I mean, there's going to be injury news that there's no way that we're going to know before lock even comes. So you're going to have to pay attention. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to be prepared because that's what's important. You just need to get a way to find the news, and then after you watch this video, you should know where to make the moves. But before we get into my favorite plays, we need to talk about injuries, because injuries are so important, and there's so many injuries today. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the Milwaukee Bucks, and the big name that's out for the Milwaukee Bucks is Eric Bledsoe. This is a guy that soaks up a bunch of usage. He's a guy that plays a ton of minutes, and now he's out. And the guys it affects are Chris Middleton, who gets a usage bump, Brook Lopez gets a usage bump, and then Dante DiVincenzo and George Hill should get more minutes as well as a usage bump, and even Giannis gets a little bit of a usage bump as well. So those are all very important. I'm going to talk about all four of those guys I just named in my interest video, in my interest part of this video. They're important players. Eric Bledsoe being out just opens up so much usage and so many minutes for other players that are going to give us some value on the slate. Marvin Williams is doubtful. This one affects Robin Lopez, Ersan Ilyasova. Should give them a few more minutes each, but nothing really too important. Same with Pat Connaughton. We'll get Kyle Korver and Sterling Brown some more minutes, but nothing too important there. Let's go to the Orlando Magic, where Aaron Gordon and Jonathan Isaac are both questionable, but they both are expected to play. I don't see any reason why they're not. But, Isaac more than likely is going to play. I think Aaron Gordon may be a little bit less likely, but I still expect him to play. But fortunately, we will know these before lock, because this is the Magic Nets game is the first game. If Aaron Gordon sits, it will open up some more usage for Nikola Vucevic. It will open up some more usage for Jonathan Isaac. So those are the guys to look for there. But I don't expect Isaac to miss. Wes Iwundu wouldn't have played anyway. He's doubtful. Up next, we have the Brooklyn Nets. Jamal Crawford is doubtful. The Nets are just a disaster. I mean, you already have Taurean Prince, Spencer Dinwiddie, DeAndre Jordan, Kyrie Irving, not to mention Kevin Durant, all out for the season. And Karis LeVert is just going to see a huge shot in usage. I mean, and now the one guy that was maybe can get some usage was Jamal Crawford, and he's gone. We'll talk about Karis LeVert in a little bit, but yeah, he's going to be affected by all these guys big time. And I think Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot will also get affected by Crawford. That opens up some more minutes for him to get in there that I think Crawford would have taken. And then Jared Allen should get all the minutes at center with DeAndre Jordan out, and Nick Claxton. I did not write Nick Claxton on here either, but he is out too, so there's really no other centers. It's going to be all Jared Allen. Up next, we have Tyus Jones for the Memphis Grizzlies. He's out today. That should give more minutes, just some extra minutes that would go to backup point guards for Tyus Jones, for John Morant and D'Anthony Melton. So those just help those guys out a little bit more. Trevor Ariza is out as well for the Portland Trailblazers. This should free up what I believe Carmelo Anthony to play some more minutes, but then Gary Trent and Mario Zani will probably get some more wing minutes. So those guys should be out there a little bit more. Dario Saric is questionable for Phoenix, along with Aaron Baines, two big men that are questionable for Phoenix. This is an interesting one. I think this is the most important one to pay attention to. I don't think Aaron Baines is going to play, so that allows Cheick Diallo to get all the backup center minutes, which he's a really high point per minute guy, so that could be a valuable play that probably not a lot of people are going to be on. But if Saric is out too, then it's just DeAndre Ayton in the center. He's going to play a ton of minutes because those guys are out. And then you have Mikal Bridges who's probably going to pick up some 4 minutes. Maybe Cam Johnson didn't right there. And maybe Frank Kaminsky. All those guys are just going to have a boost in value. And even Kelly Oubre being out too affects Mikal Bridges. At the end of the season when Oubre was out, we saw Bridges playing upper 30s in minutes. And I expect that to be the same today, especially if Sarge is out too. So yeah, Bridges is affected a lot by these guys. Then we have, for the Washington Wizards, Bradley Beal and Davis Bertans are out. Pretty much the two best players on that team. Bradley Beal being out really affects Shabazz Napier and Ish Smith, gives them a huge usage bump, even maybe a little bit of Jerome Robinson. I expect Shabazz Napier to probably be the main ball handler and probably the highest usage player on the team. So I think that really affects him the most. He should play at least 30-plus minutes, and honestly, so should Ish Smith. Davis Bertans being out affects Mo Wagner and Troy Brown. They're going to pick up some extra usage from him being out, and they're going to pick up some extra minutes. Troy Brown should easily get the start here. We'll see if Wagner starts or comes off the bench, but either way, Bertans not being there affects him. Alex Len being out for Phoenix isn't really, it's going to, give a few more backup center minutes to Harry Giles, but it's really it. Bryn Forbes for being out for San Antonio is going to open up a ton of minutes for Patty Mills. He'll probably start. This is a guy I want to look to go to. We'll talk about him in a little bit. He's going to get a bunch more minutes than expected now, and he's very cheap. And then Lonnie Walker should pick up some more backup minutes that Patty Mills would have. Then we have Trey Lyles also out for San Antonio. Rudy Gay will probably start at power forward more than likely. We got to look for starting lineups. Obviously, this is all important. This news on the starting lineup for the Spurs is going to be big. But Rudy Gay, I'm assuming, is going to start, and he should pick up a good bit of minutes. Then we have Lamarcus Aldridge. Oh, and Lyles and Aldridge are out for the season, by the way. So there's no big men. Like, Lyles probably would have just started at center if Aldridge was out, just Aldridge, but now Lyles is out too. So we have Jakob Poeltl, who more than likely will start, and then Drew Eubanks should pick up Poeltl's minutes off the bench. Poeltl is also going to be someone I'm going to talk about today. He just should pick up a ton of minutes. Eric Gordon out for the Houston Rockets. Daniel House will just get a little more minutes, and then Jalen Brunson out for Dallas. Daylon Wright will just get a few more minutes. So, we're going to have to look for some starting lineups because some of these guys are important starters, like Eric Bledsoe being out. I'm assuming just DiVincenzo is going to start, but it could be George Hill. That's an important one to play. We're going to have to wait and see on Aaron Gordon and Jonathan Isaac. Those are important guys. If they're out, that opens up some usage for other players. Then we got to make sure to look out for the Brooklyn Nets starting lineup. But to be honest, I think it's just going to be Caris LeVert, who I'm really interested in today. The Phoenix Suns is a big one. That's a later game, too, so you're going to have to really be paying attention for that one. If we're going to see who starts. Like, if Frank Kaminsky ends up in the starting lineup, he could be a good play. I don't think he will, but if he is, that's going to be someone who's, like, a very, very good play. And just to see if those guys are out, like Saric and Baines being out, just affect so much more. The Washington Wizards starting lineup is going to be one we have to look for. We really don't know who's going to start. It's probably going to be Shabazz, Troy Brown, Jerome Robinson, I'd assume Thomas Bryant, and Mo Wagner maybe. We just don't know. And then we have the Spurs lineup, which is very important. But yeah, let's get into my favorite plays on the slate. And we're going to start out with someone who I think is interesting that's not going to be talked about too much, Enes Kanter. I think he's a good cheap option. Enes Kanter's only $3,000 on DraftKings, and he should see 18 minutes. I know that's not a ton of minutes, but for $3,000, I think Enes Kanter can end up being a very good value. He's a 1.201 point per minute guy. He's a 19.3 usage guy with a 23.7 rebound rate. If he just gets you, 15 will 5x you and 6x will 8 or 18 will 6x you, and he should, if he plays 18 minutes, he should easily be able to outscore both of those. But the one thing I would say about Kanter is there is a lot of value on the slate, and there might just be guys that score more than him. But I do think he's a sneaky value that's probably not going to go too highly owned. And maybe I'm wrong and he only plays like 10 minutes, but I'm expecting him to hit him. He usually gets about 15 to 20 minutes a game. So at 3,000, it's valuable. During the regular season, we didn't see Enes Kanter this cheap. We saw him at like 4,000, which is different. And then I probably wouldn't be as interested in him. But for 3,000 for Enes Kanter, I am very interested in him. Up next, we're going to go to the three Brooklyn Nets that I am pretty much interested in. We got Joe Harris first at 5,400. Basically, the Brooklyn Nets have nobody on the team anymore. Like, all the high usage players are gone. Kyrie's gone. Dinwiddie's gone. Even Prince wasn't a high usage player, but he's still a decent usage player. He's gone. Like, these are all just opening up so much usage for these guys. And all three of them get a massive, massive usage bump. So let's see. Joe Harris. He goes from a usage rate of 17.9 when those guys are off the floor, or when those guys are on the floor, to 24.7 when they're off the floor. Caris LeVert goes from a usage percentage of 28.8 to 41.3. 41.3. That's just absolutely insane for how much of a usage rate Caris LeVert's going to have. I don't even know if he's going to be able to sustain that for a whole game, but it should be pretty freaking close to it. And then we have Garrett Temple goes from a 16.6 to a 23.3. So pretty big usage bumps for all of these guys. And yeah, the problem with Orlando is they're a very good defense. These are all going to be negative matchups, but I don't care, especially for Caris LeVert. Hey, if you want to avoid Harris and Temple today, I understand it. I get the thought process on why you would want to do that, but Caris LeVert at a usage rate of 41.3, you just cannot pass it up. I think he's a lock. I'm happy he's playing Orlando because it might keep his ownership down. If he was playing like Washington, he'd be like 80% owned. But I mean, he's still going to be highly owned. But I just don't think you can avoid that. You cannot avoid someone who's going to get a 40% usage rate at 7,800. I don't care who they're going against. It's just too much to avoid. 39 to 5x, 46.8 to 6x. He should easily pass 39 and 46.8 for 6x. I think he can pass that too. He can end up with a 50-point game today just because he's going to be shooting a million shots. I'm not saying that's a lock for it to happen, but for him to at least 5x should definitely happen. And I think that's a very, very good chalk play that you should use in cash. That's a very solid cash play for me. Garrett Temple and Harris, I mean, they're both fine. They're both good options. I like them. I think they have upside just because they are getting a usage bump, but I definitely don't like them as much as Harris because Harris is not converting. He's creating his own shots, and he has a higher assist rate with these guys off the court. Assist rate 23.5. So, an assist rate of 33.9. He has an assist rate of 23.5 before those guys are off. Now he's an assist rate of 33.9. So, yeah, I think Harris LeVert is just like a lock in all formats today. Luka Doncic, he plays Dallas, or he's on Dallas. They're playing the Houston Rockets today, and he's 10,500 on DraftKings, and he needs 52.5 to 5x, 63 to 6x. And, I mean, the thing about Luka is he's just so good, and Houston's just a good matchup anywhere. I mean, like, and for someone like Luka, the way he plays, it's just a very, very solid matchup for him. I mean, Houston's averaging or allowing 3 more points on average to point guards than the rest of the league, and 1 point more on average to, I believe that's wings, right? Or just combo. Okay. The first one was combos. Second one was point guards to the field. So, I mean, it's just positive matchup on both positions that he really plays. If we go look at the pace of play, they're getting a 5 more possessions a game than normal with the pace. So it's a huge pace-off spot for Dallas anyway. And then we have the lines. This is the 228.5 line. I mean, the Dallas-Houston game is the highest total on the slate. So, there's going to be a ton of scoring in this game, and I mean Luka Doncic, there's just the way he plays. I mean, he plays quicker than you think. You watch him, you think, oh, he plays slow, but he really doesn't. He's a fast-paced player, and he's someone who likes to get to the basket, and like there's no one stopping anyone at the basket on Houston. So it's just a great matchup for him. I'm sure he'll probably be the highest on stud. He is my favorite stud play of the day. I mean, if you played Anthony Davis yesterday, you were pretty happy with that. So hopefully Luka Doncic will do the same thing for you. James Harden on Houston, I think will go a little bit lower owned, but I think might just be just as good. Yeah, the matchup isn't as great for Harden as it is for Doncic, but Harden's is just so good, and he has such a high usage percentage. And pretty much every night Harden's on the slate, unless he's playing an elite defense, I'm gonna tell you to play James Harden. He could always explode for 60 real points and get you a 90-point game. He's just that good. I just don't have a problem with James Harden ever. If you played NBA DFS and just I'm gonna lock in James Harden like every night except for when he's playing like some of the elite defensive teams, I would be like, all right, that works for me. Like he's just so good and he holds so much usage and he does absolutely everything for you, and there's enough value where you can fit it around. And I don't think you can play both Doncic and Harden. And I do think there is, if Doncic gets too chalky and Harden's lower owned, I think there's definitely paths where Harden is could end up being a better play. Jaren Jackson against for Memphis Grizzlies against Portland is just too cheap. This is a great chalk play, or not chalk. Well, yeah, it is probably gonna end up being chalk, but a great cash play for me is Jaren Jackson. I mean, it's just I don't know why he's 4,900. It makes zero sense. It's not like Portland's a very good defensive team either. He's not. There's no injuries in Memphis, so he's not getting any usage bump. But he does have a 23.9 usage percentage and an 8.8 rebound percentage. Jaren Jackson. I mean, he's just been good this year. I have him projected for 28 minutes, but Memphis is trying to make the playoffs right now, and they're going to play their best players, and Jaren Jackson's their second best player. So he's going to get, I think, more minutes than he has on the season. We have positive matchups for big men and forwards against Portland. We have a high game total as well, 224.5. I believe that's the second highest total on the slate today. So, yeah, I do like Jaren Jackson a good bit. I also like his teammate John Moran for similar reasons. Just another high total game. This is a fast-paced team. It's not like Damian Lillard's good at guarding anybody. Same thing for Jaren Jackson. It's not like who's going to guard him, Carmelo Anthony or Hassan Whiteside. Like, they're not good defenders. And same thing here. Damian Lillard's not a good defender. It's a little bit of a pace down spot for Memphis, but like it's still not like anything drastic. So I think these guys are both in good spots. I do like Jaren Jackson a lot for cash. John Morant maybe not as much, more of a GPP play just because he's 7,000. Jaren Jackson's 4,900. I mean, it's just value. Up next, we have the Milwaukee Bucks 4. I told you I was going to talk about earlier. We'll start with Donte DiVincenzo at 4,900 on DraftKings. I think DiVincenzo is a good play. I don't like him as much as George Hill. I'm expecting DiVincenzo to get the start, though. We have a 0.97 point per minute player here. Right now, I have him projected for 27 minutes. He'll probably see somewhere between 24 and 30 minutes with Eric Bledsoe off the floor. It really just depends which one of DiVincenzo and Hill get it going, more than likely. But, I mean, there's definitely a possibility you can see both those two out there and just one of them replace Wes Matthews. But DiVincenzo's just been such a good player for them this year. I expect him to get a lot of playing time. He's getting a little bit of a usage bump. I think we see about, a 2% usage bump for Donte DiVincenzo with, who's out? God, slipped my mind. Eric Bledsoe out. So, yeah, I think DiVincenzo's a good play. Same thing with George Hill. Also have him projected for 27 minutes. The difference between Hill and DiVincenzo is George Hill's only 3,800 on DraftKings. Like, that's just, I mean, for someone who's going to play 27 minutes, I don't even care if they're playing Boston. It's just a great value play here. So I do like George Hill a lot. He's also getting a 1% usage bump with Eric Bledsoe off the floor, so he's getting some extra usage here. I'd rather play Hill just because he's cheaper. I expect him to be chalky today. He's another play I want to just lock in cash. If you're playing GPPs, I do think there is some reasonability to just pivot off George Hill to DiVincenzo. I think he'll go lower owned, but I do think Hill is a great play regardless. Next we have Brook Lopez at 4,800. He's another guy who just gets some extra usage and seems to pick up some extra minutes when Bledsoe's off the floor. It's not someone you'd really expect to, but he does. He gets a 3% usage bump with Eric Bledsoe off the floor, so that's a good play I want to go to. And then Chris Middleton's another one. Middleton's in a terrible matchup for himself against Boston and the Wings, but he gets a nice usage bump here, a 6% usage bump with Eric Bledsoe off the floor. He is getting as well a 3% assist rate bump, so yeah, he looks fine. Good play. I don't think he's going to go too highly owned. The matchup sucks, though, I will say that. I'm a little bit nervous about Middleton. He's more of a GPP play. Huge negative matchup against the Boston Wings. Pretty sure Boston Wings are the best in the league. So that's a tough spot there for Middleton, but he is getting a nice usage bump. But it's just not to the point where I'm I want to lock him in, but I think he is a good GPP option, and he has upside, of course, if he gets hot. Nikola Vucevic at 8,500 shouldn't be that cheap. This is basically everything I'm going to say all year. Just play centers against Brooklyn, especially now Jordan's gone. It's just Jared Allen who just gives up so many points to centers. I mean, if Vucevic was 9K, 9,200, I would be fine. I'd still want to fire him up, but I really want to fire Vucevic up. I expect him to get some pretty decent ownership, and I think he's a good cash play. But I do think the center right below him, DeAndre, might even be a better play. I mean, the Wizards just suck. I mean, yeah, the Nets suck at defending centers, but they're still a slower-paced team. Now, the Wizards are a fast-paced team. They're even worse at defending everybody, and it's not. And Thomas Bryant is literally the worst defender in the league. If Thomas Bryant gets a start, I want to lock in DeAndre Ayton because I know he's just gonna torch him on offense. Thomas Bryant's defense is so bad, and I really think DeAndre Ayton could torch him. I have him right now projected for 34 minutes, and especially if Aaron Baines misses, that's just even more minutes Ayton's gonna get. And Sarge, if both of them end up missing, I think Ayton's a lock at that point. He's a 1.2 point per minute player, very solid point per minute player. With Kelly Oubre off the floor, he's getting a 1% usage bump, so nothing too important there. But I mean, yeah, DeAndre Ayton looks good, a 2% rebound percentage bump as well. So I think Ayton's good, and I mean he's going up against the Wizards, super fast-paced team, high game total, and terrible defense. Devin Booker's another one I like a lot. He's at 8,800 on DraftKings. Washington sucks at defense. Devin Booker should be able to torch him. I mean, who's guarding Devin Booker today? Shabazz Napier? He's not good. Even if Bradley Beal was there, Bradley Beal, another one, just not good. He needs a little more. He's a little more expensive, but I do like Devin Booker. I don't know if I really want to go there in cash, but I think has a lot of upside, very good GPP play. He gets a nice usage bump with Kelly Oubre off the floor, 3% usage bump, and a 2% assist rate bump. So, yeah, Booker looks fine. I didn't really talk about Phoenix this game, but if you look, it's positive matchups all around. I mean, 3% more for, 3 more points than average for bigs with Washington does that. 5 more for the Wings for Phoenix. So, yeah. It's a good matchup all around. When we go look at the Vegas lines, 223.5 total, third highest on the slate, and it's a nice pace-up spot for Phoenix. So, yeah, those guys look good. Bridges is another one with Kelly Oubre off the floor. Bridges was playing like upper 30s in minutes. Right now, I do only have him projected for 33, but I think I'm going to change that after this video, to be honest. And before I keep going, if you want to get my projections, you should subscribe to my Patreon. And you should subscribe to the Patreon. You're going to get for $10 a month, you're going to get this cheat sheet with all the players, not just the ones I'm talking about, for DraftKings, FanDuel, Yahoo, SuperDraft, and Fantasy Draft. I don't care which site you play on, I have it. I make projections for it. I write an article every single day, which I'm getting ready to write up after this, as well as salary tier rankings, or salary positional tier rankings, and a cash core for only $10 a month. I mean, that's so cheap per day. I think it's totally worth it to get it. So yeah, you'll find more players. You'll find the other Suns, so I think there are some decent plays as well. But let's get back into it. Damian Lillard, 9,300 against the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't think this is a fantastic play, but I think it's Damian Lillard, and we know if Portland wants to make the playoffs, Damian Lillard needs to just go bananas for the rest of the year, and I just don't see any reason why he doesn't just start jacking shots up. I mean, he's only 9,300. He's worth that upside, in my opinion. Memphis isn't a great defensive team. John Morant's not an elite defender. He's not going to shut him down. Neither is D'Anthony Melton. I don't care which one gets on him. So I think Damian Lillard's a solid play here. Buddy Hield at 5,200 against San Antonio. He's just too cheap. I don't want to play him in cash because it's Buddy Hield, but he's still too cheap. 5,200 on DraftKings is just. I just don't understand why they made him this cheap. I have him projected right now for like 32 minutes. It might come in more like 29. That might be a little bit on the high side for minutes for Buddy Hield, but he does look like a good play. He has the upside and he's cheap enough. I wouldn't go to in cash GPP play for sure for Buddy Hield because it's Buddy Hield. He can get hot anywhere. It's not like the San Antonio Spurs or anything good on defense, especially if the guys they got out. Bryn Forbes, one of their better wing defenders, is out for today. So DeMar DeRozan for San Antonio. Not ever interested in playing DeMar DeRozan, but he's just getting such a nice usage bump with all three of the guys off the floor. He's got a 7% usage bump with Aldridge, Lyles, and Forbes off the court. So, yeah, I think DeRozan's someone to go to. The Sacramento Kings aren't like a particularly great matchup, especially for forwards, but he's fine. I think he's a little bit more expensive than I want him to be. 7,700 seems a little bit more expensive to me. I don't think I'd really want to go there in cash, but GPP play for sure. If you wanted to play him in cash, I think he's fine just because he does have so much usage. But Patty Mills is someone I do want to go to in cash and GPPs. The only 3,500 for Patty Mills. I'm assuming he's going to draw to start today. This Spurs lineup is going to be one to pay attention to, and the problem is I think that's the second to last game on the slate. But if Patty Mills gets to start, he's going to be a great play in my opinion. He's just going to come in and take a lot of Bryn Forbes minutes. Right now, I have him projected for 28 minutes, and 28 minutes at 3,500 is a very solid play. Not going to get a ton more usage. He does get a 3% usage bump, which is good, but he's just not someone who you're really going to see, scoring a lot. But he does have a good assist rate at 14.8. And the wing defenders for Sacramento aren't like elite or anything. I mean, it's Buddy Hield, De'Aaron Fox. They're all right, but you have a little bit of a pace-up game for Patty Mills here, too, so I think it's fine. Jakob Poeltl at 4,700 to start. He's a little bit more expensive than I want him to be, but I think he's still fine. I mean, I don't see any reason he doesn't see 30 minutes, right? I mean, who's playing center for them? Him and Eubanks? And they're not going to give Eubanks more minutes, I would assume. Poeltl's a better player. He should see more minutes. He's a high rebound percentage player, 18.2. The matchup is a little bit positive, but not, greatly positive. I just wish he was a little bit cheaper. I think he's still a good play, though. Oh, that's weird. Okay. I think he's still, a solid play, but a very good play. There's just something, I don't know if I want to play him in GPPs. I don't think he has the upside, but I think he is a good cash play. And now we'll go to the Wizards to close it out. Trey Brown Jr. For Washington. I mean, he's just seeing a usage bump with Davis Bertans off the floor, same with Thomas Bryant, and they're both cheap enough. 4,700 for Brown, 4,600 for Bryant. You see a 1% usage bump for Troy Brown Jr. when Bertans and Beal are off the floor. He should see 30 plus minutes for sure. Thomas Bryant should see 25 to 30. And they're not playing against elite defenders or anything. Phoenix sucks at defense. I'm pretty sure it's a little bit of a pace down spot because Washington plays so fast, but defensively they're not good. We have one of the highest totals on the slate at 223.5. So it's. And, I talked all this crap about how bad Thomas Bryant is at defending. Well, DeAndre Ayton isn't, that much better. He's not a good defensive center either. So, Bryant should be able to do okay on the boards. But I I think that's going to be an interesting matchup to look to, and I think it's like I think a lot of people are going to play DeAndre Ayton today, to be honest, and I don't think a lot of people are going to look on the other side of Bryant, and that could be a good GPP option. Shabazz Napier, 5,700 is actually at least 33 minutes. I wouldn't even be surprised if it ends up like 36, 37. He's going to get a huge usage bump with Bradley Beal off the floor. He goes from a 19.6 usage rate to a 26.1. So yeah, Shabazz Napier is going to have the ball in his hands a ton. He's going to be doing a lot of things. And then we have Mo Wagner, who also gets a little bit of usage bump with Bertans off the floor to see some more minutes. And he's only 4,300, and it's not like Phoenix is that good. That's the problem with those centers, though. Like, I mean, you don't know which one's going to get the more minutes, Bryant or Wagner. I mean, both of them, for me, if Ayton should torch both of them. But, I mean, if one of them gets a lot more minutes, they're probably going to be an optimal lineup today. But, yeah, that's really all I got to say on these players. Make sure to subscribe to my Patreon. I already talked about it. If you really want to get into more of my content, I think it's very valuable. I think it's worth your money. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, turn on the notification bell. All those things really help me out. Follow me on social media at DFS Nate Lane on Twitter, at Nate Lane _ on Instagram. I like to talk about sports and DFS and fantasy football and all that crap over there if you're into all that. So make sure to give me a follow on there. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you guys have some good luck. Hope you guys win some money tonight. And yeah, let's just go make some money. And I'm just enjoying watching basketball.